Thank you very much. It's a privilege to be here with the Dubai Airshow team once again. My name is Matthew Cochran, and I head up an organization called Defense Services Marketing Council, or DSMC. And we've been, in some way or another, a part of the Dubai Airshow for the last 20 years. I arrived in Dubai in 2003, and I remember my first air show at the old airport was something that inspired me to stay not only in Dubai, but to grow businesses in the defense and aerospace sector. A little bit about Defense Services Marketing Council. We are a collaborative organization made up of government, industry, and academia. We have over 300 organizations that meet regularly on a monthly basis to discuss topics of industry concern, to include everything from research and development, localization, manufacturing, all the way through to offsets, industrial participation, economic development. And really having an opportunity to, again, be a part of the Dubai Airshow for the last 20 years, we try to support in every way possible this very meaningful event. Yes, so Defense Services Marketing Council is working very closely with the Dubai Airshow organizers. DSMC is powering the board of advisors to the Dubai Airshow. The board of advisors, again, is made up of leaders in industry, those that lead some of the largest companies in our region, from Lockheed, Boeing, Airbus, through to Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center and the UAE Space Agency, to Wazun. We bring everyone together to meet as the Board of Advisors to help steer some of the key issues that are facing us as businesses and or government organizations. And DSMC is there working very closely, again, with the Dubai Airshow to make sure that we're consistently improving with the help of the Board of Advisors, the content that is a part of this a very special event. In addition to the Board of Advisors, the Dubai Airshow has entrusted DSMC this year to be a part of its CXO delegation. The CXO delegation are the chief executive officers of many of the attendees, exhibitors, and leaders that will be coming to the region, some for the first time, will have the chance to meet as part of the program reserved by the Dubai Airshow organizers, a CXO delegation made up of some of the highest level UAE stakeholders, those that are across all 7 Emirates, involved in aerospace, defense, manufacturing, really the make it in the Emirates push that we see being very important to the UAE and to the future. The Dubai Airshow has been critical, and I would even offer pivotal in the advancement of research and development and manufacturing for some of the largest OEMs, the original equipment manufacturers. When you look at the orders placed at the Dubai Airshow, consistently, this has led the Boeing and the Airbus on the commercial side to pivot, to answer the call that the Dubai Airshow makes every 2 years. And that is push farther and faster into commercial aviation, being sustainable, being long haul, and being a business that is both rewarding for the customer as well as the businesses and countries involved. And so there is no other air show that I can think of that has been able to place as many orders in value over the last 10 years than the Dubai Airshow. And so the Dubai Airshow is critical in leaning forward in innovation, in research and development, and really pushing the OEMs to do more and to answer the call that the Dubai Airshow exhibitors and attendees request. So localization is an important part of any country's goal, and specifically after COVID, we saw that the Dubai Airshow was one of the first, if not the first, air show to bring back people to discuss what were the relevant challenges that were faced during COVID. And one of them was sustainability. One of them is localization. What are those key parts and suppliers that you must have to keep the planes flying? And so when we look at localization in the aerospace sector, the Dubai Airshow plays a role in bringing together the Make It in the Emirates brand. Make It in the Emirates is being championed across federal agencies from MOIOT to TWAZUN to Ministry of Economy and many others. It's not just aerospace, but space. And when we look at the leaning forward of the aerospace and space community for the localization efforts, more Make It in the Emirates programs are happening every day. The leadership at ICT, who is the funding organization that supports MBRSC and UAE Space Agency, with astronauts from the UAE at the International Space Station. Really, it's everything that we've seen from aerospace to space. It's the Emirates crew to the SpaceX crew. The country has emboldened and really supported at every level, from a federal level to an industry level to even a startup level, aerospace and space programs. And in many ways, we see that highlighted every 2 years at the Dubai Airshow. So specific to Make It in the Emirates and the space sector, we are seeing a growth in startups coming from around the world to make the UAE its home. And this makes a lot of sense. When you look at space and the commercialization of space, the excess capacity and capability that we have at our universities here in the UAE, that we have with large organizations, the UAE Space Agency and MBRSC and their wise leadership, is supporting the Make It in the Emirates themes, not only as a requirement if you want to do business in this country, but it's also allowing for those young and bright entrepreneurs to come to the UAE and to also think about, how will I export my aerospace or space product? So specific to space, as we're watching the Hope probe in Mars look at weather on that planet, we're seeing other space-based weather companies actually starting at places like Masdar City. And we're watching these startups embrace the Make It in the Emirates concept in the space sector so that they can export their software, their hardware, their soft skills around the world. And they're doing that all from the UAE. So that Make It in the Emirates brand is going to become more and more important. When you see that, it's not just for the localization, but really for the export of what does it mean to be made in the Emirates, quality and forward-thinking vision in the space sector. There are a number of local incentives that are already in place, and we see that this base has been created over the last 20 years that I've certainly been here and been a part of the aerospace ecosystem, but it is being multiplied every year. Whether those are free zones to support businesses, whether these are export incentives, we're seeing programs from the Offset and Economic Development Bureau at TWAZUN Council really enable a number of the aerospace and defense firms in localizing made in the UAE or Make It in the Emirates companies to export from here. And the incentivization continues. It's not just about free zones, but it's about what will be the future requirements of research and development. If you go back in history in the UAE, when the UAE started, it certainly started as a trading culture. And many companies and organizations came to the UAE in the early years of aerospace and sold their services. It started in then a maintenance, repair, and overhaul center, where we realized about 3 decades ago that the emergence of the UAE being central to air travel around the world was key. And the incentivization to have more aerospace companies grow from here, whether that's Emirates Airlines, which has been a leader in the space, or Etihad Airlines, we have seen that the aerospace industry has supported them by then bringing the maintenance, repair, and overhaul to the UAE to not only service the local needs of the airlines, but to also service the regional needs of the airlines. And these incentives are done in many different government, but also private sector ways that we're encouraged to see will, in effect, equate to more research and development from the UAE. Why do I say that? The trading culture led to the maintenance, repair, and overhaul sector for aviation. And the maintenance, repair, and overhaul sector has now led to research and development, where we're watching large names from around the world, whether it's Saab or Raytheon, Airbus, Boeing, Lockheed, Thales, Safran, Rafael. The names, it's a long list. And I would chagrin to think that I could name them all here, but many of our DSMC members find that the incentivizations to not only grow a business here in the UAE, but to stay and to grow a life here is transformational, not only for their businesses, but certainly for themselves. So I think when we look at how has government supported the private sector, it's important to look at the many challenges throughout the years that the UAE government and the various Emirates have supported. One that is, I think, jumps out at me is Drones for Good program. The Drones for Good program was an initiative by His Highness's office in Dubai to spearhead how can the government incentivize the private sector in various ways to use unmanned aerial systems, drones, for good. And we saw $1 million prize put on this. This is just one example of where the UAE is incentivizing using government funds, the private sector to encourage that entrepreneurial spirit. But certainly on the business side, what we're also seeing is that companies are being encouraged, whether that's through special real estate grants, through various export trading regulations that have encouraged from a government to commercial sector, the ability to export your product, to make it in the Emirates and then to export it more cost effective than really anywhere else in the world. There are some challenges with that. One of the things that you have to make sure in the aerospace sector that you do is testing and accreditation. Testing and accreditation is very expensive. And when we look at how they've done it in Europe or they've done it in North America, you see large organizations that have had to invest hundreds of millions of dollars in testing and accreditation. Today, we see the UAE at a federal level and across the Emirates investing in that same testing and accreditation for the aerospace sector, so that when an aerospace part is made in the UAE, it is tested and accredited in the UAE before it enters the supply chain globally. This is unique. And not only is it a support of the large OEMs that may do this, but also to the smaller, more, I would say, future facing companies, those that are looking at technologies and advanced materials that the world is just starting to think about. Another example of a UAE's government support of the private industry is advanced materials. Advanced materials will make our planes and our rockets faster and more reusable. One of the huge initiatives that has been taken on is a partnership between the UAE government and UK Manchester University in the UK to support graphene. Graphene is an advanced material that is likely to replace aviation steel and aluminum in the very near future, thereby allowing for our commercial airlines to travel further, faster, and cheaper with less fuel. And without the support of the UAE government, the realization of graphene as an advanced material may never have occurred, and is one of those, I think we'll look back in history and say, the UAE supported a brand new concept, a brand new advanced material that very few people have heard of, that will change the aerospace and space community forever. The conflict in Europe over the past 18 months has shown us that sustainability within the defense sector specifically is more important than ever. Understanding the region and understanding how do you approach this very sensitive sector with professionalism, and with an understanding that business in defense is often closely aligned with aerospace, but has its own unique challenges and hurdles that need to be overcome. The opportunities are vast. The defense sector in the UAE and in the GCC and the greater MENA region continue to grow. In fact, over a course of multiple conferences, whether it was the Paris Airshow or looking at multiple recent conferences in Europe, we've been taking questions at Defense Services Marketing Council from European buyers as to what is being made in the UAE, what is being made in the Middle East that can be brought to Europe from a defense standpoint. And so when we look at defense, and almost 2 years into the conflict in Europe, we have to remember not only do we need to build for sustainability in our country, in the UAE and in the region, and be prepared for local and regional conflicts and peace through strength, but we need to also look at what does the rest of the world need and how can we contribute to it? That sustainability is closely aligned with the exportability of defense products. And so our hope at Defense Services Marketing Council is that we'll be able to support the leadership and the stakeholders in the UAE, not only the continued safe prosperity of the UAE's defense, but the potential of make it in the Emirates or made in the UAE defense products finding their way into the safety and security of Europe.